Here's your fish, buddy.
Boy, that's a nice fish, isn't it? Look at this. Woo! If you want to learn how to catch big fish with a Western technique that a lot of the Western pros have been using for a long time, then join Bill Siemantel and I right here on Fishing University. Next, we're going to show you how to catch eastern bass on a Western technique with a big swim bait. You reckon we might catch another?
It's time for Fishing University with Charlie Ingram. If you want to learn how to catch more fish and bigger fish in your home waters, Charlie can show you how. Fishing University is brought to you by Minn Kota Trolling Motors, Honda 4-Strokes, Humminbird, simply clearly better, Trojan Batteries, and Ranger Boats.
Hi sports fans, I'm Charlie Ingram and welcome to Fishing University. Today I have as my special instructor Bill Siemantel with the Big Bass Zone. And Big Bass, he's from California, LA, and they fish with fish that are almost big enough to eat. Bill, you designed a Spro, I call it a crankbait, a swim bait. It's something that's really big out west, right?
Yeah, it's been big for the last probably 20 years, but it's really taken on the last 5 years. People are really getting into it.
If you want to catch big fish, this is the lure to do it with. And Bill got with the people at Spro Corporation with Tim Norman, and it's a Gamakatsu hooked up lure, right? Can you kind of give us a little bit of foresight about how the bait actually works? It's a weighted system, if I understand it right.
Well, actually, it's a complete system for a lure. And when Tim from Spro approached me, they wanted to do a swim bait for California, you know, to get, because there's a big craze right now out there. The neat thing about this with Tim at Spro is I've been fishing big baits for almost 20 years. And nobody's ever came out with a system. And the system, as we preach in the Big Bass Zone, is trying to cover the entire water column. You want to cover the top, middle, bottom. And we have 3 baits with the BBZ-1. That one's a floater, one's a slow sink, so you can work that mid-depth range anywhere from 0 to 15 foot. And then we have a fast sink, so if you want to probe those depths deeper, down to 25, 30 foot, you have a lure to do that. But the neat thing with this system is all these baits are interchangeable. So if a guy back east wants to lead line for lake trout, he can take a floater, put it down 30, 40 foot, use it for a lead lining lure. If a guy wants to rip them for muskies or bass over shallow water, he uses the fast sink, and now he can track the bait quicker on the top surface. So with 3 baits, you can cover the entire water column with a multitude of techniques with only 3 tools. And that's the key to this system is there's not many baits out there. You only have 3 baits that actually cover the entire water column.
You know, a lot of guys on the tournament trail are secretly throwing this bait back east. Bill's from LA, we're in LA, Lower Alabama. I know a lot of guys at Gunnersville and here around Lake Eufaula are actually throwing this bait, but they're keeping it kind of hush-hush. I'm really interested to learn a lot about it today, and hopefully with Bill and his Spro swim bait, we'll learn a lot on how to catch really big bass.
So what we got here, Charlie, is I've never been on this lake. We're in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, right, Louisiana. Go ahead.
LA. So what I do is real simple. I don't try to outthink this thing. We got a little point here. So right off the bat, I do a short little cast about 20 feet past this point using a slow sink, and I'm going to bring it through, and that's going to create one funnel. Okay?
Go ahead.
So, but when we do that, the other thing is, it's really important, is if you look out there in this lake out here, see that brush pile?
Right.
Assuming that this is a private lake or a public lake when anybody fishes, you assume that there could be other strike zones, other cover structure out to that stump.
Right.
So before we leave this spot, we can take 2 or 3 other hits or casts across this point and actually target with only 3 or 4 hits or casts this spot. So when you first make this cast, we get 1 cast right across the point, and all I'm doing is I'm slow rolling. I'm not trying to make this bait do anything crazy until I get close enough where I think that bass might be following it or looking at it.
Yeah.
Right when you get there, do a directional change. And all I'm doing is I'm creating it, just like a crankbait when it hits the bottom.
Right.
You're creating that moment that that fish wants to strike. So with one cast, I'm checking out one spot, and if it's gonna happen, it happens real quick. So you bring it in, and when you ever work a swim bait, the thing is you have such a pulling power that you remember that you gotta bring this bait all the way up to the boat.
Oh, really?
There's always times like right here,
Yeah.
what happens is that's one strike zone, right?
Right.
The second strike zone's your boat.
Oh, really?
The bass will actually come up against the boat and pin the trout right against your boat. And there's times where I've sat here like this and I've actually figure 8 bass, just like musky fishing.
Oh, really?
And you'll catch them right at the boat. So don't pass up that opportunity. The other thing too is when you're throwing bigger baits, especially in clear water, is if there's 2 guys in the boat, there you go.
Oh, there you
There you go, real, just keep cranking, keep cranking. There you go, buddy.
Charlie will be right back.
You know, Charlie, my new Kistler rod has an extremely fast action for hook setting power.
You know, my Kistler rod has great balance for muscling those bass out of heavy cover.
Well, my new Smart Touch reel seat puts my finger in direct contact with a blank so I can feel the slightest tap.
My guides are light. They make longer, smoother casts, and they keep braided line from cutting your guide.
Yeah? Well, my new exclusive hook hanger allows me to hang my hook on here without even taking the plastic off.
Hey, your rod's the same as mine. Kistler helium rods. They're lighter than air.
Get that rod, man.
When I'm on the water, I count on my Trojan marine batteries. They have the power to run my trolling motor, my electronics, and start my engine all day long. Trojan Battery Company has a reputation for reliability, long life, and plenty of power. They offer a full line of batteries. I run 3 of them to keep my Minn Kota 101 humming, and another one to start my big motor. Trojan Battery has great customer and tech support. Heck, they've been building batteries in the USA for 80 years. I've run almost every battery made, and Trojan batteries are absolutely the best.
If you'd like to win some great fishing gear, go to fishingu.com and click on Gear Giveaway.
The other thing too is when you're throwing bigger baits, especially in clear water, is if there's 2 guys in the boat, there you go.
Oh, there you
There you go, real, just keep cranking, keep cranking. There you go, buddy. Keep cranking.
I believe I'm gonna like this when I learn how.
Okay. Just,
Look what a fish.
okay, keep cranking. Slow it down.
Goodness.
Slow it down.
Got him with both sets of gamakatsus. He's not going anywhere.
Right there.
How about that, Bill? You're a pretty good teacher, man.
That's first cast.
First throw right
That
out
was-
of the box,
That's
buddy.
your first cast. And
Unbelievable.
look at that. He came across and he pinned that bait right against both sides of it. Here's your, here, let me.
Well, you all right. Just unhook him, or turn him loose.
Now what you want to do,
You can unhook them all day, buddy, as long as I can catch them like that, all right?
you did a great job, because a lot of guys forget that a lure this size and big fish, that they think they could just set the hook, and you got to keep winding. You got to set your, it's like anything. You got, God,
He ate it, didn't he?
yep.
With 25-pound test, you know, you can just, you don't have any problem telling who the hooker or the hookee is, right?
There you go. Here's
That's
your fish, buddy.
Boy, that's a nice fish, isn't it? Look at this. Woo! That's right.
So now what we did, your first cast, you threw out over this point, you created a funnel.
Okay.
Now, what we could assume is if there's more fish positioned on this point, what you did when you caught that one fish, you drew more fish into it. It's called daisy chaining. You're actually drawing more fish into this spot, okay? So now you throw out the same cast and you bring it right back through it. So throw it about 30 yards past that point. What you do is you slow roll it. Now remember, on your slow sink, you can adjust the fall. It falls about a foot every 2 seconds.
A foot every 2 seconds. That's
Yeah,
something you really
so-
want to remember, huh?
So, you know, you kind of know where your lure. The whole key is knowing where your lure is out in the water column the whole time.
Right.
Now, when you're getting close, if you start feeling your line get tight,
Yeah, just pick it up.
or you rip it, because you know when it's getting tight, it's either coming up to a point or it's coming up to a brush or rock or something like that. So you give it a hard rip and that creates that directional change, and that triggers a lot of the fishing and striking.
You know, most people would cast into this point. We're
Right.
actually coming up on the point or
Right.
across it and creating a funnel there, right?
Right, yeah, what you're doing is, say, if I threw far enough across this point and you're actually getting fish,
Oh,
that was a good boil right there on yours.
unbelievable. How am I, what, they're hitting it with their mouth closed, aren't
Well, no, they're not. Actually, that one I saw it actually ate it.
they? It did?
Yeah, it ate the whole thing. The thing is rod positioning. Remember what we were talking about this way? When you sweep this way on a hook set,
Yeah.
you lose everything. You lose all your hooking strength. And when you're catching fish 5 pounds up to 15, 20 pounds, you got to put everything into your advantage. You have to have basically the power to set these big baits and get them actually pulled out of these fish's mouths.
So in other words, how would you actually, what's your ideal hook setting technique?
Well, it's like baseball. You set up for your cast, you set up for your pitch. I set myself up for a hit, so when I get hit right here, I can actually pull into the rod. That's why I make rods with longer handles.
Yeah.
You actually pull into the rod, pull it into your body, and you get a good sweep. The whole key on that though, you gotta reel. So if you did nothing more than reel 5 times,
yeah,
and then start your set, you're gonna increase the pounds per square inch on that hook, double compared to just setting the hook by itself. So you can actually get up to 15 pounds of hook setting force by doing a real sweep than just actually sweeping the rod.
All right, now let me ask you a question. What about taking the boat around the point and casting back this way and coming that way?
That's it. That's
it?
how simple it is. Instead of actually going around it, see what happened is you did 2 or 3 casts and you pulled everything up here on this point. So most guys would go out there and throw out there and pull all the fish that they just started right here, started that bite.
Yeah, pull
and
them
they'd
back
pull them
out.
out deep water. You did exactly right. Go around the backside, hold there, throw on this angle, and get the fish that we haven't hit on this edge yet.
Here's a great tip from the casting deck.
I'm Hank Parker. First thing I want to do is apologize for my laryngitis. Second thing I want to do is show you an invention that just blows my mind why I didn't think of it. It is the greatest little tool you'll ever have. It takes up no room, extremely lightweight, very easy to store in your boat. It's called prop aid. And let me tell you, you know the way a propeller is made, a boat propeller is made. If you look at this, it has a rubber clutch or a rubber hub, and it's pressed inside. And that works as your clutch. So when you hit a log, or you hit a stump, or you hit a rock pile, or you hit any kind of obstacle, it's made to spin. And what happens, it spins the hub out. Well, that's good, because that saves you the blades on your propeller. The problem with that is, when you spin your hub out, now you can't go. You give your boat throttle, and you just sit there and spin. So how are you going to get back to the dock? Or how are you going to get back to your boat trailer? Well, if you had a prop aid, it just slips right in over your clutch, and because it has the 3 little tabs that will catch on your propeller, then you can run your boat up to about 3,000 RPMs, good cruising speed, cruise right back to the dock, cruise right back to your boat trailer, and you're home free. And all you had to have was just a few little ounces of a product called Prop Aid, taking up almost no room in your boat. Let me show you how it works. Take me just a second here, and we'll pull the propeller off. I'm going to pull the prop nut off, pull the little locking tab off, take your prop aid, slip it in place, take your nut, put it back, torque it on. That'll take you back to the hill. That is amazing. That is such a simple way to have a safety item that could honestly save your life. I mean, you never know what kind of situation you get in, but at the very least, it's going to save you a lot of trouble and a lot of headache. It's a very inexpensive item. You put it in your boat, doesn't occupy any space, gives you peace of mind knowing when you spin that hub, and I don't care who you are or how safe you are, sooner or later, it's going to be a submerged log. It's going to be something. You're going to hit it, you're going to spin a hub, and you're going to need a prop aid. And if you don't have it, you're in trouble. So you got to have one. Keep it in your boat all the time, and you'll be grateful for it, because it is a great tool.
We'll get back to Charlie and his guest in a minute.
Scott Martin, 3 wins this year, and you just nailed down another one. How are you doing it?
Yeah, thanks. I tell you, it's just like my daddy used to say. He'd say, son, never give 100% when you can get by with 50.
The new Maxim Pro. Tournament-proven performance with exclusive lift assist. Cuts the weight of lifting your motor by 50%. Save your strength for what really counts. Maxim Pro, only from Minn Kota.
This is the one that'll win me the tournament. Found her hanging in that tree.
See those rocks? Caught that big boy jigging on top of that pile. Fished that lake for years. Never even knew they were there.
That there is Joe's boat. He had a little accident last summer. We're still catching fish off that boat.
Humminbird's exclusive side imaging sonar gives you a picture-like view of the bottom, so you can see what's really down there. Check it out at humminbird.com.
If you'd like to win some great fishing gear, go to fishingu.com and click on Gear Giveaway.
You got another one?
That's what we're talking about, baby. Right there. What I did is we pulled back over that point and I threw it out and I let it fall just like a Senko. I knew that angle was the perfect angle.
Golly, what a bass, boys. Look at this one.
That's what happens when you...
How big's that one, Bill? About 8?
Nah, it's not that big, but... Basically, we just came back over that ridge, and that cut right there, there's a little T angle. Everything was set up, I threw past it, and on the drop, she came up and ate it. It was only about 5 feet under. I counted down 10, so I know the bait was right about 5 foot. And she smoked that thing.
Kind of takes a specialty rod. Kistler made this rod here, which is parabolic through. What do you think the ideal rod needs to be?
You know, that the real big key on swim bait fishing is you have to have good equipment. It's like anything, you have to have a balanced system. And what a lot of guys did back in the day is they tried to use flipping sticks, the short handled stuff, which is a specific type of technique.
Right.
But when you're throwing a big swim bait, either pitching, flipping, or long casting or long lining, what happens is what guys will do is they'll take that short handle and they'll try to hold it just like they're still doing it flipping.
Yeah.
But when they get hit, depending on how they hold their rod, watch this rod. If I get hit from this direction and I try to set, my rod will actually break over. I'm trying to support everything with my wrist, okay? With the long handle, you want at least 14 inches for a good big bait rod.
Right.
So when you cradle your reel like this, the handle actually becomes part of the contour of your forearm, and it goes just slightly past your elbow.
Like that.
So what it'll do is your fulcrum is your reel, and your lock-off point is your elbow.
Right.
So when you lay into a fish this way, when it's pulling, first of all, this side will get your stomach.
Right.
If you pull the other way and you're in bad position, like you did off the front of the point, when you go this way, you're actually using this to hit your elbow on a bad hook set, and all you do is you crank.
Right.
So you're not going to lose any type of power on that fish. So I mean, it's a big factor on rod length, reel positioning, and reel handle for swim baits. I mean, it has everything to do with it when that big fish hits. You got one there, buddy?
No.
Oh, just a little one?
Yeah. Just about a 4-pounder.
You need to get some help? Oh.
No. That's a relatively small fish, isn't it?
It just shows you the power of big baits. You know, there's no size limitation on them.
How smaller one you ever caught on it?
I've caught a fish actually the size of the bait. So I've caught 8-inch fish that actually come up and slapped at it. So,
Really?
You know, anywhere in the U.S. when guys say, oh, you know what, I only have fish that'll eat baits that big, but they're willing to go out and throw a 10-inch power worm or, you know, some big worm and catch the same size fish. You know, that's where just not having faith in your fishing abilities.
Yeah, that fish what, 3.5?
3.5 maybe.
Unbelievable.
There's more action coming up. Stay tuned. If you'd like to win some great fishing gear, go to fishingu.com and click on Gear Giveaway.
Right on the directional change.
You got him, buddy.
Oh man, he is a brute.
Is he really?
He's fish fight. Oh, he's in a bush. Get in the bush. Get out of the bush. Okay. Slow rolling it down that edge.
He got both set. You're all right. Land him right there with that Honda, man. Be a good shot.
Oh man, he got that thing good. Look at that right there, Charlie.
Yeah.
Slow rolling it down that little brake line. I was holding 5. I was looking on the graph and I was paralleling that shore. And I just felt my line come over a bush, twitch, twitch, reel up the slack, and it's just like an old rip bait. Tick. That's all. I mean, he smoked pretty good. Not a real big fish, but, and that, you know, it's something with these hooks when they actually go through the hard part of the bottom of their jaw.
Yep. I don't think you got to worry about straightening those hooks out.
Today's equipment is brought to you by Gamakatsu. We didn't invent the fish hook, just the sharp ones.
Talking about the equipment we're using here today to throw this big Spro swim bait. Really, it's not that hard to cast. You know, you'd think you'd just wear yourself out, but you work the bait slow, so you're really not making a lot of repetitive casts. You're using a wide reel, a Kistler, big swim bait rod that's made especially to do this. It's very parabolic, loads up really good and casts really well. Using 25-pound test, copolymer line with a Spro swim bait with the Gamakatsu hooks.
There you go right there.
You got him?
Yeah, it's a big fish, dude.
Boy, that is a giant. Golly, what a fish.
That's the, they're on the outside edge, structure.
Look at the, what a fish, man. You just got one set of Gamakatsus in him.
Yep, he's pegged good though.
Is he?
Yep, just be careful with the hooks.
Goodness, what a fish. Ah.
See what I did, Charlie? We come off this flat, and a lot of people just throw up here. Now in the springtime, be a great time to throw. You find the break line and actually you parallel the shoreline, the structure underneath, threw it out 8 foot of water, brought up to 6 right underneath the boat. Boom, that fish ate it against the break line. Smoked it.
Sports fans, I tell you what, I hope you've learned as much today as I have doing Fishing University. We want to thank Bill for bringing us this great swim bait from Spro. We look forward to seeing you right here next week on Fishing University. Man, what a day, Bill.
Closed captioning provided by Kevin Van Dam's Line and Lure Conditioner. Fishing University has been brought to you by Solar Bat Sunglasses, Kistler Rods, and Blackfin, the ultimate replacement skeg.
You and Michael Jones got a book out about actually how to do these, find these big bass, right?
The book is The Big Bass Zone, and I got to give a lot of credit for Michael Jones because the guy is just absolutely a phenomenal writer. He came out with it, and it was nice enough. We showed it to the first publisher, is the Stoger Publishing, and they loved the book and the concept. Came out with the book, and it's on stogerpublishing.com and Amazon, and it's an interesting book because it's evergreen. The way we kind of wrote it, we put cutting edge stuff in there. It's not technically about tying knots or anything like that, but really targeting bigger fish, and it's a concept. And it's just trying to cover the water efficiently and open up your mind to think out of the box and catching bigger fish.